Yeah.
I mean, are we? The screen is shared.
No. This
Yes.
is here.
Ah, okay.
Sure.
All right.
But the
Okay.
video is not. She can see video. Okay, we're moving here. She can see video here. But now it's
Ah, okay. 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 All right. Okay, so we're recording.
yeah, already we started.
Okay.
Just moving here in the middle of us. And also middle right here. And the speaker here. I'm going to do that. Okay. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon. Today, April 28th, Saturday, April 28th. I'm joined by Takahashi-san from Myanmar, Uno-san from Tokyo, and I'm also located in Tokyo. We are discussing in a series the new technology and the future of Japan. Depending a little bit on the discussion today, I hope we can finish this topic. I had a lot of new materials, and I think I have a few challenging discussion topics. So I don't know whether we'll make it, but let's not waste time recapturing everything that has been discussed in the past. I believe all of us have been here, so it's not necessary. I would like to continue where we left last week. And that is the Internet of Things and blockchain more in particular. So we saw a video last week explaining what is blockchain, and we also looked at a video giving a few industries that might be disrupted using blockchain from the Bitcoin. We all know. Blockchain from Bitcoin, but there are many other industries that will be disrupted using blockchain, and some people even claim that blockchain is the new internet. It will be as groundbreaking as the internet was in the beginning. The moment when we look at blockchain technology, it's still in the hands of a lot of anarchists who would like to decentralize everything. But there are actually a large number of very interesting applications, and I am convinced that blockchain will be very widely implemented throughout the world, and can actually potentially bring a lot of good to the world. Basically, I would like to talk about one of these very positive side effects, something that is as capturing my personal interest, something that I wish to allocate some time to in the future, to be part of this. I see this as a very interesting and exciting new development, and let's continue where we left off last week and look at a blockchain. So blockchain can add to supply chain transparency. So a blockchain supply chain can help participants to record prices, for example, of transactions, dates, when the transaction took place, where the transaction took place, what kind of quality specified against a certain standard, a certification, and other relevant information to more effectively manage the supply chain. So the problem that we have today is that basically you can produce anything. We live in a global supply chain. In a lot of industries, our half products, our inputs, come from all over the globe. Take the car industry; their parts come from all over the globe. And basically, what we see, for example, when we buy an iPhone, we see an American product, but the majority of the parts is actually from Japan. So this kind of transparency becomes problematic, for example, when it comes to food safety, when it comes to branding, when it comes to like certain undesirable side effects of globalization, like child labor, like pollution. So blockchain will enable us to actually make sure that we can create transparency in the supply chain. and this might help to actually reduce these negative side effects, because it will empower the consumer, and the consumer is the only answer to create these negative side effects of globalization. So I hope that blockchain technology will help us to the consumers to consume wisely and to make choices for certain products because they deliver on their promise of being environmentally friendly, of not using any child labor, because they are made of authentic materials. Blockchain, as far as it comes to supply chain transparency, creates transparency. Now, why is this important? Transparency has been on the radar, on the mindset, for example, of the fair trade movement. Fair trade movement was a movement that started in the Netherlands, I think, probably in the early 80s, when a few idealistic people said, okay, well, globalization is failing. We buy coffee in the supermarkets, but the coffee growers, the coffee farmers in South America and Africa, they don't get a fair price for their coffee because they don't have any power. So the retailers in the Western world, they make all the money, they make all the profits, and we are basically extorting the small coffee farmers. In response to that, they created a brand, a fair trade brand. And the coffee that was sold under the fair trade brand was guaranteed, because basically the fair trade organization promised that to monitor that, was sold in small shops in the city centers all around the Netherlands. And there were only a few, but actually the coffee was selling quite well. And the interesting thing that happened throughout the years is that fair trade became bigger, and more people were starting to buy their coffee with the fair trade brand, up to a point where a supermarket said, okay, well, this is interesting, why don't we put fair trade coffee next to our existing brands? And the coffee was more expensive than the existing brands, but lo and behold, actually people were interested in buying that, and people who would normally go to the fair trade shop came shopping in that supermarket. So the positive side effect of that was that people who had more money to spend were coming to buy that coffee, and as a side effect, they were also buying other stuff in that supermarket.
It means you said South African coffee maker, my farmers, price is improving?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You mean just Holland, they recognize which farmer is good, or
right,
which wholesaler is good. They
exactly,
need to give some
exactly,
information.
Right. But
just
this
only
is all...
only a few percent.
Well, the interesting thing is that now, in the Netherlands, you can hardly buy any coffee that is not fair trade coffee anymore.
Why?
Because it has become mainstream. After one supermarket adopted it, another supermarket started to adopt it. Now, all the supermarkets have fair trade coffee. When that started to happen, the main coffee companies said, well, okay, this is going to cut into our market. We are also going to acquire coffee using the same standards as the fair trade coffee, thereby being able to actually put a fair trade brand on their coffee. And the main coffee makers were actually starting to sell fair trade coffee as well. So everybody had to adapt to the new reality that people wanted to have fair trade coffee. Now, what we see is that the price of fair trade is actually going down, but as in the process, by giving farmers not only a better price, but also educating them, helping them to develop their growing means, it actually has become the main way of doing business in the coffee industry. The thing is, though, that how can we be sure that coffee that I buy at a premium price is actually fair trade coffee? How much did the farmer really make? Or did somebody just put a fair trade brand on top of that coffee? So what we want to stimulate these kinds of positive effects that basically a fair trade brand becomes grows up and becomes mainstream, how can we make sure that other makers who just don't copy everything do not adhere to any of these fair trade standards and just put a fair trade brand on it? So that's where supply chain management comes in.
So it means all African farmers get the same price.
Yes, so they all get they all get a fair price, right? So basically, what would happen is that these retailers would put pressure on the coffee makers.
But that's only happening in Dutch.
It happens in the Netherlands, as far as I know. Fair trade is not a global brand yet. So let's first have a look at Max Havelaar. Max Havelaar is a character in a novel written by Multatuli. It's a Dutch writer.
Why don't you skip first one?
Well, I think actually the first one, Max Havelaar, is better than this, to put first, and then we put the fair trade coffee.
Right.
So Max Havelaar was a novel, a character in a novel from Multatuli from the previous from the beginning of the 20th century. No, the end of the, well, doesn't matter. At least 150 years old, about 150 years ago. He was a broker in coffee in Indonesia. He became this was a very famous novel.
Coffee maker.
Coffee broker. A broker. So he would buy and sell coffee. So Max Havelaar became the brand name of the fair trade. Max Havelaar coffee. So let's have a look at Max Havelaar and how it evolved. Does Takai-san can see it? Cannot see this? Oh.
You can see.
Okay.
In 1860, the pen of Multatuli captured a philosophy on ethical trade. Over a century later, I was born from that same philosophy and name. This is my story so far. I saw the light of day in 1988, when I introduced the world's first fair trade mark. Coffee was the first commodity to carry my mark, and after a successful introduction came a swift expansion to certified chocolate and bananas. I expanded into other countries, and in 1997 we formed the global platform of Fair Trade International. My global growth attracted international brands and retailers who made 100% switches to fair trade. Together, and with passionate fair traders around the globe, we're moving the needle from niche player to market mainstream. From certified coffee and bananas to tea, flowers, grains, fruits, cotton, and even gold, there are now more than 1,800 products in Dutch supermarkets and stores today. You can find fair trade products in homes, cafes, restaurants, hotels, schools, universities, hospitals, offices, trains, and even aeroplanes. And over 60% of Dutch households purchase fair trade on a regular basis. All this to achieve better lives for over 1.3 million farmers and workers and their families in 70 developing countries. So overall, I've accomplished quite a few things already, and I'm proud of it. My name is Max Havelaar, and I'm 25 years old. You probably know me best for guaranteeing a fair price and additional premium payment for cooperatives and workers' groups. But my secret is this: I can't do it alone. It takes many farmers working together in cooperatives to grow profitable businesses and build thriving communities. Many organized workers to secure their rights. Many traders, many governments, many companies, and many citizens working together to create change. And the key to my secret? Unlocking the power of the many. With this in mind, I continue to strive for new growth, new potential, new ideas, and look forward to building, together with you, a fairer world.
Interesting.
So basically what happened up until the fair trade movement came, there was one central buyer and all the farmers were decentralized. So basically, they set the price, and if you could deliver against that price, you were in business. If you wouldn't, basically, so the large buyer would play the individual producers against each other, and thereby suppressing the price. So what Max Havelaar did is they started to organize the farmers, the workers, and they created cooperatives so that they would have a counterbalance against the power of the buyers, and thereby introducing fairer prices. So but the interesting thing here is that this is really the power of the consumer, where a little brand, once it reaches a tipping point, a critical mass, when there's enough people who want to do this, then it goes from a idealistic.
Okay, they organize farmers, every country,
Right.
and then try to negotiate with brokers,
Right,
and try to raising their selling price.
right,
Okay,
right, right.
spread all over the world.
Yes,
now.
spread all over the world. Why? Because the consumer wants it. The consumer wants it. So you need to create a brand, you need to create awareness, and you need to create trust
Why
in that
consumer
brand.
wants?
The consumer, this is maybe strange, it sounds altruistic, but consumers feel good, feel much better if they buy fair trade coffee. This is something that if it makes you feel good, you don't mind spending a little bit more.
Sincerity or something.
Sincerity.
Okay.
So this kind of fair trade movement, I think that also has future for. We looked at the video of Bangladesh the other day, the Canadian documentary, where we saw the circumstances where people are creating fashion, like instant fashion for big brands like Zara. Zara was not part of the video actually, but other brands at very low prices, at extremely low wages. Now, these things I think fair trade need to solve, and the only thing that fair trade that you can do that is by organizing the workers, by creating transparency, and by creating a brand that people feel good about buying. So the ultimate answer for these kind of problems that we have is the consumer. And brands like fair trade, they help us to actually buy responsibly. So yeah, so fair trade has gone mainstream. I will show you in the next video. So this is a supermarket in the Netherlands. All Plus Coffee is now fair trade. Every coffee there. My name is. Oh, this is not English. Sorry. I chose fair trade for three important reasons. First of all is the fair trade premium. So it improves the life circumstances of my family. And third is the environment. Because of the premium, we've visited many trainings and schooling. And we've learned how to protect the water sources and the birds, not to use dangerous chemicals. Fair trade has helped us a lot to spread the knowledge of the farmers so that they can produce coffee of higher quality. There is coffee. There's real coffee. So this is the supermarket advertising that they only sell fair trade coffee. If you come to Plus supermarkets, you can be sure that you buy fair trade coffee. That's how it's grown from a very small.
I've never heard about this in Japan.
Well, actually, there is one in Japan, and I've been in touch with the person because
Nobody knows it.
nobody knows it. I think she's in Osaka. I
Why,
know.
why they are not announced or?
I think it's a missed opportunity. I think it's also a personal problem. The person who runs the fair trade brand in Japan is a woman, and she's, well, a bit of a not so nice person. I think it's really a problem. I think this is the biggest problem that we have here in to spread this brand. It's just the person who's running it is not really capable. I got to know her because through chance, one of the people who was one of the, well, not founder, but one of the driving forces behind the fair trade brand. She happened to be my landlord in the Netherlands. So I rented a house from her, and so we knew each other quite well.
Oh, personally, you know him.
Yes,
you know her.
yes, yeah. So when I moved to Japan, she said, "Oh, well, actually, so there's also fair trade in Japan. Did you know that?" So it wasn't introduced, but well, she said, "Well, basically, it doesn't really take off in Japan, and I think it's a personal problem." But it's a missed opportunity, and I think there's definitely a market for this in Japan.
But still, it doesn't sell well.
It doesn't sell well. It hasn't gone mainstream at all.
Why?
I think, well, because of poor marketing, because of poor promotion, not being able to create a brand that
She's not Japanese.
she's Japanese.
Okay, let's move.
It's really a missed opportunity. Really a missed opportunity. Okay, let's have a look at the supply chain. So what does this entail? What if we want to move this and bring this mainstream?
Coffee?
In
Let's
general.
suppose that you're
wait.
writing a really important email to a colleague.
2, 3, 1.
How do you know that the coffee that you bought is actually fair trade? How do you know which one is real? How do you know that this t-shirt has not been made in a sweatshop with a simple tag added at the end? You simply don't. In order for you to be certain, you would need a record of all transactions and events of the life of an item. That would be possible with blockchain. What's a blockchain? That's a fancy word. Blockchain is related to Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. Initially, it was made for financial transactions, but it is now revolutionizing the business world, especially supply chain. It's just like Google Sheets. With regular transactions, there is a middleman like the bank that registers this transaction, a centralized system like Microsoft Word. But with Bitcoin, transactions are between user to user, so when there's a transaction, the information is recorded on a shared ledger or block, and these blocks are linked together to form a blockchain like a shared Google Doc. Transaction accuracy is driven by the fact that consensus creates truth. In a blockchain database, every participant or node maintains a copy of the shared ledger. Each transaction on the blockchain is recorded in computer code showing who the parties are, transaction details, and timestamp, with each containing the unique math-based encrypted signature. This digital signature is key as it allows each block of information to be securely connected to all the rest. It's this system of full transparency and connectedness that lends the blockchain its trust and credibility. This connection provides an audit trail of every transaction that's ever occurred in a system. So, if there were an unauthorized change, each node is notified, and we can see where it took place. They then would agree to recognize the change as valid or rejected. Again, transparency and consensus combine to make the blockchain system virtually tamper-proof. Today, your data is stored in silos, just like a Microsoft Word file. When blockchain, your data will be stored publicly or pseudo-anonymously in a shared database. Now with blockchain, you can track the chronological history of the organic cotton share that you bought. You cannot temper or cheat because everyone using the system is watching you. The blockchain revolution isn't going to happen overnight, but it is expected to change our lives like the wheel did, or the electric motor and the internet itself. I believe that this blockchain could be the next industrial revolution.
So each item will going to be recognized
Yes.
by itself.
Yes.
So they have some number.
They have some numbers. They have been. They're everything is recognized. Every shipment. Where did it come
So
from?
how many of these do they have?
Oh, they have quite a lot of. Well, actually, you touch upon a very good point, because one of the big disadvantages of blockchain is that it's very, very energy intensive. We need a lot of computing power to keep track of all these ledgers and to update them. So this actually is very environmentally unfriendly. The way that we are doing blockchain at the moment. Now they have come up with alternatives to actually improve upon blockchain. So I don't think that this is the final state of affairs that will that we're seeing today. The way that blockchain, and that has to do with the origins of the blockchain technology. It was invented to become completely decentralized. And on a smaller scale, to basically let every element, every node in the blockchain to let them check and validate against each other whether somebody has actually tampered or not. Calculate.
So it means very uniqueness do they have?
So basically, the system is replicated everywhere. So if there is a transaction, that transaction is being replicated everywhere throughout the blockchain, and it's sent. So if somebody tries to change it, so that means that basically your previous and your next will be updated, but then others who have also a copy of that ledger need to acknowledge that transaction. Now, if that transaction is actually false, then it will not be accepted, and that transaction will be isolated and not part of the blockchain. So you cannot tamper with the data. That makes it very strong because it will be almost impossible to hack, because you cannot hack everything at the same time.
How this data is going to be identified?
This data is going to be identified with so-called hashes.
What do you mean hashes?
Hashes. And a hash is a algorithm that translates what's inside that blockchain and translate it to a code. That code is generated on the fly, and that code is being sent out. So if that code no longer matches with other people who have the same code in that blockchain, they said, hey, somebody has been tampering because the content changes, the hash changes. Now, if the transaction and the contents of the block do not match, people say, hey, it's been tampered with. And they say that there's something wrong. So what we have at the moment is a centralized system. If you hack into that centralized system, basically you can do anything. Once you're in, you can fool around with that data. But if you have like thousands of systems that all check with each other, are we still in sync? Are we still in sync? And once it's no longer in sync, then they raise a flag and say, okay, somebody's been tampering with this block. Somebody's trying to, for example, update the quality.
How are they going to be identified?
Every block has an ID. So there's an ID, there's a hash. So basically,
every block means how many?
Well, I would say countless. So there is not one blockchain system. There are parallel blockchain systems, but
block is billion. My question is
more.
Oh,
More. Every transaction basically.
So how many digits do they have for identification?
So for identification, a block. Actually, I can show you. Wait a minute. I can show.
I can't get image of blockchain.
Okay. One second. Let me start my computer. Sorry, Takai-san. I'm going to. I need to get this on my own computer. Maybe I can copy it to the central system. To Uno-san's computer. Yeah, I think I can. I just need to.
You need to disappear from screen, otherwise I can't eat it.
You better get completely out of the screen or something. Yes. Yeah, this is it. I will not ask.
You find it?
Yes. .info. Oh, wait, sorry. This is in Romaji. Okay, so we have here an example of what a blockchain looks like. So here we have a transaction. So we have the numbers 520,222, and then 520,223, 520,000.
What is this?
But this is a visualization of the blockchain. Okay, so if we look at this one, here we have contents of a blockchain. So we have truncation. We have
hash.
Hash. This is the hash.
So long.
Yes.
Hmm.
So you have the origin. You have the follow up, and this is how you can visualize.
This is uncountable.
This is uncountable.
Maybe 3 bytes.
Yeah.
1 bit, right? 1 bit. So 8
Yeah.
is 1 byte.
Yeah.
5 byte.
More, I would say.
Oh, now I understand. It's difficult to make a copy.
This is impossible.
This is relating to
Everything.
relating.
Yeah.
So this is the same as Form 1.
Right.
This part is
And
same
this
as-
is being, if I would temper this, I would change something, then the hash would be recalculated.
No, my question is, this is 50 or 50 digit, but front 5, last 5 is connecting in Form 1.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what it looks like,
Oh,
and it's impossible to temper with. Well, never say impossible, but the calculation power and to
For
actually.
example, I have 10 billion data, big data.
Right.
Is it possible to sort?
To solve.
Sort.
Sort.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Is it possible to sort?
What do you mean sort?
Sort.
Sorry, I don't know what.
Sort. The sequencing.
Sequence. Oh, S-O-R-T. Sort, to sort. Well, basically, there's the blockchain identifier, so you can sort it based on, because there's a chronology in a blockchain. So that says, okay, every transaction is linked.
Okay,
With the other in
I
time.
got the 10 billion data of the
Right.
without world. Okay, all transaction.
Right.
But I want to sort by the people name who own this product. 10 billion.
I don't
Can I
think
sort
that
it?
is possible. But actually, theoretically, yes, it should be possible, because let's say, for example,
No,
that
I'm talking about 10 billion.
yeah, but let's say, for example, that you are So I wouldn't do that. So basically, I would start a blockchain. Let's say that I'm Louis Vuitton, right? I'm Louis Vuitton, and I want to make sure that that all the bags that I have, that I made, are traceable.
Traceable?
Traceable. So I don't want people to make rip-off copies of the stuff that I make. So what can I do? I can actually put a number in my bag, or a tag, an RFID or whatever.
This to understand when to make.
So if there is if you have a Louis Vuitton bag, then and I sell it from the shop, then the owner basically it can be a registered transaction put in the blockchain. If the owner wants to resell it to somebody else, the new buyer can see, okay, actually this product is actually from the Louis Vuitton factory.
Or she can recognize former owner.
Right, exactly.
But she can recognize original factory.
Yes,
But
exactly.
she can recognize former owner. But she can recognize which factory this is
Right,
made.
so where it's from. But a fake will never be able to do that.
How can I do that?
Hmm?
How can I do that?
How can I do that?
Yeah, so fixed data is this own fixed data.
Right,
You know, like when this is made, which factory made.
exactly.
Sort of
You cannot tamper
fundamental
with it.
information. But front data, the last data is connecting the transaction.
Right.
Sort of organization structure.
Right. So basically, what you store in the
Core data
in the
is
blockchain,
core data is the same.
right?
core data.
It needs to be the same. Otherwise, the hash will be updated, and that means that the previous and the after tag will no longer match. That means that somebody has been tampering with the data. Somebody's tried to falsify the data inside one of these blocks.
So my question is how this data will going to be used?
It will be used, for example, by a buyer. If I want to buy a Louis Vuitton bag, I want to be able to track, okay, did this product actually come from the Louis Vuitton factory, yes or no? Because if it didn't, then I know it's a fake.
So this data, okay,
Right.
blockchain data, what kind of information do they have?
For example, where did the product come from? At what price was it sold? Who was responsible for
Some
it?
price is original price, or
When was it? When was it produced?
when is
Who transported this? And
not,
then actually
not the recent price.
not the recent price at that moment. So you can see exactly where the product came from. So and if we talk, for example, talk about food, I have a product in the supermarket. I scan the barcode, and then on the blockchain, I can see who produced for example, if it's frozen vegetables. Where was this produced? At which price? Which farmer produced it? Which price was it sold? Who transported it to which distribution center? Then who actually sold it? So if something is, so if we had, for example, the gyoza, the gyoza that was sold a couple of years ago, it was poisoned in China.
Oh, dumpling?
Yeah, it's very easy to trace back. Okay, where did this product come from, and who was responsible for the shipment? So it's very easy to isolate what happened with this.
Or are they going to figure out those dumpling is wrong dumpling located in where?
Yes.
Can they go?
Yeah. So it will enable every consumer. If you, for example, are in the store, you want to buy a T-shirt. The way that I see this, I really want to do this. Actually, I really want to make it.
You mean back tracing is capable?
Yes. So if I'm selling T-shirts, for example, in a shop, then I can add a little QR code inside of the neck.
Most important issues like this. That's my motorcycle company made a motorcycle, but some parts is something wrong.
Right.
So they wanted to tracing back every product.
Yes.
And try to change all of those.
Exactly.
Is it possible?
Yes.
So if in one bolt, okay, we're going to tracing back is billion data.
Yes.
Past 10 years.
Yes.
Billion data.
Possible.
Can get this information?
Possible.
How can does it they can get those all data? How can many data
Basically, because everything is blocks.
spread
Yes.
many database, right?
Right.
All over the world.
Yeah. Okay, but this is the supply chain that belongs to that car, right? This is the supply chain that belongs to that car.
Mm.
It's a different chain.
Mm.
It's a specific chain.
Mm. So how are you going to trace it back for all over the world? Database.
Yeah, basically it means that everybody needs to.
Okay, my guess. Blockchain has they can jump into the other database. Can they?
No, basically what happens is that if you want to be part of the supply chain, if you are, for example, if you supply a bolt that is used in the manufacturing of a car, then every time you send a shipment, you need to specify what kind of bolt, when was it produced, where does it come from, etc. And you need to put that into, in that shipment goes into the blockchain.
I understand. Suzuki motorcycle, they can trace him back his own database. But this, the motorcycle.
But this will be shared. This is no longer in the hands of only Suzuki. This is a shared blockchain. So it protects the people who send the bolts as well as the people who bought the car, as well as the people. So it will not be tampered with. So it creates responsibility and it will be transparent to everybody.
In many cases, you cannot trace it back because of separate database.
Right.
Right.
Right. But blockchain is open.
But still, they have a key to looking for.
Right. They have that information already, but the thing is that it no longer sits in the hands of a single entity. This is something that is shared among all the partners in the supply chain.
Do you know what the problem is?
Well, I think there is a very big problem.
What is?
For me, there's two big problems. One, it's very, very energy intensive. Two,
why energy intensive?
Why is it energy intensive? It's energy intensive because it's very inefficient, because you need to store this information everywhere, and every time you need to calculate those hashes, it costs.
Hashes? How many hashes for each?
Countless. There's an enormous number of hashes, and it uses a lot of energy.
Why? Before and next one.
Because it's everywhere. This is being calculated and it's being checked against each other, right? So for every new block, it will be checked against all the other people in nodes in the supply chain.
Your video shows just only home and next.
Yes, but actually, where is it?
Home and next.
Let's look at this again. He explains it very well.
If you write anything on your computer, you need to get Grammarly.
Sorry, I used Grammarly, and it's actually very good Grammarly.
How
if
do
you
you
write
know
English.
that the coffee that you bought is actually fair trade? How do you know which one is real? How do you know that this t-shirt has not been made in a sweatshop with a simple tag added at the end? You simply don't. In order for you to be certain, you would need a record of all transactions and events of the life of an item. That would be possible with blockchain. What's a blockchain? That's a fancy word. Blockchain is related to Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency. Initially, it was made for financial transactions, but it is now revolutionizing the business world, especially supply chain. It's just like Google Sheets. With regular transactions, there is a middleman like the bank that registers this transaction, a centralized system like Microsoft Word. But with Bitcoin, transactions are...
So basically here what you do is whenever there is something, you just send it to the middle, and then from the middle, other people can and here it's validated. And then if other people need that information, it can be spread out from here or retrieved from here. So there's one time there's a validation. Only here in Bitcoin, when it comes to Bitcoin or blockchain, the validation takes place everywhere. Here, 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 here. Everybody in the network validates the transaction.
I can't imagine.
So
User to
I think
user.
it's
So when there's a transaction,
like this,
the information is recorded in a shared ledger or block.
A shared
and these
ledger.
blocks
So
are
this
linked together to form
block
blockchain,
linked together,
like
I
a
understand.
shared Google Doc.
this.
Transaction accuracy is driven by the fact that consensus creates truth. In
So creates consensus creates
a blockchain database, every participant or node maintains a copy of the shared.
So everywhere people are trying to calculate and generate the hash and then update it to all the network. So there are a lot of people at the same time calculating that. The winner gets a little bit of cryptocurrency. Right? You know mining? You heard of the mining? That's basically how you can make a little bit of money. What miners do is basically they put in a lot of computing power to calculate those hashes. The one who's first sends it out to everyone who calculates the hash, sends it out to everyone, and in exchange they get a little bit of Bitcoin. They get a little money. So the winner takes a little bit of money. But there are a lot of nodes at the same time calculating to get the hash right. So this calculation that takes place on all these by all these players in the blockchain, that actually costs a lot of energy. That costs a lot of calculating power.
So just Bitcoin, they have own number.
Yes.
Every Bitcoin,
right, it's a unique. Yeah, it can be traced.
So
it's not like a coin one or the other. It's every coin is unique.
So how are they going to create new one?
They actually already said that I think that in Bitcoin they will be released, but already at the set pace, and there's already set a limit.
Okay, my question is, government already going to printing money, right?
Right.
But Bitcoin, how they're going to printing money, coin?
It's not. But basically, it's not.
They cannot make it.
No.
But how do you going to economy expanding? How to increase?
Well, basically the value of the Bitcoin will go up, but the number of Bitcoins will be limited, and it's not open for tampering.
Oh, limited.
Yes.
So it means Bitcoin value is going up.
Yep.
Oh, so it means actually originally $1, but it's going 10,000 US dollar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, but they have a lot of many Bitcoin currently in the.
Actually, those are altcoins. Altcoins. They are derivatives. They are derived from Bitcoin.
What?
Altcoins.
What mean?
The altcoins. It's basically a. It's just like a derivative of a share. So like options and it's not a real Bitcoin. It's an altcoin, and there are a bunch of famous ones. I think it's called, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, Ethereum and other altcoins.
What is it?
Basically, it is a unit that is pegged against the Bitcoin.
Oh, tagged to Bitcoin.
Yes, yeah.
It means a virtual coin?
A virtual coin. So basically, you can creating your own coin is not difficult at all. But to make it work and to make it thrive is very challenging, because you need to create trust. You need to mobilize a lot of people. People need to want to buy it, exchange their real currency, so that their Japanese yen or US dollars, and to buy your altcoin. If they see that this may be taking off, a friend of mine started his own altcoin, Superior Coin, and
why they can do that?
because it's virtually it's air. It's basically it's nothing.
Well, basically nothing. But
basically, it's nothing.
Actually, they are dealing that coin.
Yeah.
Into market to buy and sell.
Yeah. It's technology. It's just it's air. If people want to buy it, they want to buy it, because if they feel that, okay, this coin might become a major coin, and if it becomes a major coin, that means that more people want to buy it. There's a limited supply of them, so that means that actually we will get a lot of money. But the whole, as far as I'm concerned, the whole Bitcoin hype, it's all about, it's a huge bubble. It's nothing.
But I'm talking about old coin.
Altcoin is a derivative. So basically, I think it's the way it works that it's pegged against the bitcoins. So you have bitcoins and you say, okay, well, my altcoin is because you need to put it against something.
Okay, for example, altcoin company, they own Bitcoin, some volume Bitcoin.
Right.
So he is dealing using this Bitcoin
Right.
as altcoin to
Right.
sell somebody.
Right. Well, basically, it's very simple. If you ask 100 people to buy,
Or it's like this: one Bitcoin is divided by 10 altcoin.
yeah,
So they're going to sell 10.
or even easier, Uno-san, you and I decide to start our new coin, our Uno School coin, right? We both put in 1,000,000 yen. So we have 2,000,000 yen. So we create 20 coins, virtual coins. So you have 10 coins, I have 10 coins. Then we're going to invite Takai-san to buy coins. Not at 10 yen, but at 1,500 yen. So we both sell Takai-san 5 coins. So he buys it for 5 coins at 15,000. So basically, the price of our altcoin goes up.
Okay, my basic question is, how base for the generating this old coin? Bitcoin?
Usually I think they would probably peg it against Bitcoin, but it's not really necessary. If we just put in some money and say, okay, well, this is it, or we don't even have to put in money. If we don't put in anything, we just say, okay, we just create our own altcoin, and we say, okay, Uno-san, you own 10 coins, and I say I own 10 coins. Then we invite people like Takai-san to buy coins. Now we don't have any money, but we basically say, okay, well, so Takai-san asks, okay, how much do I need to pay for these coins? I say, well, because you are our friend, you can get 1 coin for 4,000
by the
yen.
way, old coin, the original person is they have no money, but they generate by themselves.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Why are they going to put value on it?
Because you can't. You just create your coin. I was seriously thinking to create the Tokyo Olympics 2020 coin. I mean, it's nothing. It's air.
By the way, some people in Facebook, she got billion US, several $100 million
Right.
through old coin.
Yeah. So what is that? That's people who bought the altcoin, which is basically nothing. But the only reason why it took off because there are other people like her who also buy those coins, and as long as there's more money coming in, the value is increasing.
Kind of bubble stock.
Absolutely.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Don't tell a lie.
No, I'm not telling a lie. This is what it is. This is what it is. I really...
By the way, Bitcoin, the original start is the same?
Sorry, the Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, there is no institution, no central government who can protect us against
That's the
this.
reason why the original several hundred people were so rich.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Takai-san, are you knowledgeable about Bitcoin and altcoin?
I don't think so.
No.
Ah, okay.
I think
So-
we should know.
I'm not I don't have a lot of deep knowledge about this, but what I know is a complete bubble. It's a complete bubble.
My friend is a friend of mine, very rich. He got Bitcoin. He just invested money several years ago. Now he got the money 100 times. So is this the reason why?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, but basically, look at it from the other side. Let's say that Bitcoin will be the winner. It's not decided that Bitcoin actually will be the winner, will be the main coin. But let's say that Bitcoin will be the winner, and we like this idea that this fact that we have a completely traceable currency and we can and it's not run by any government. It's a global currency. It is not ruled by anybody, and it's desirable. It becomes really desirable. Then it will get real value. The fact that this is an acceptable way of making transactions, if this becomes mainstream, an acceptable global currency, maybe as an alternative to the US dollar, because we don't want the American government to rule the world any longer, so we exchange it for Bitcoin, then this coin will actually become very, very influential. And those people who made those investments were not only bubbles, but they believed in the system. They believed in the value of a decentralized currency, and they were right.
Several years ago, they are very famous for discussion about mining. Okay,
Right.
if they can get mining, they got money.
Yes.
Several years ago.
Yeah.
That happened before, but not now. Not now.
Yeah, mining is still happening.
But the recent mining is so difficult to get.
Yeah, mining is difficult because it's going mainstream, and it costs a lot of money to mine, because you need to run these this rather expensive equipment, and it uses a lot of energy to actually mine coins, because you need to be fast. You need to hack that code as fast as you can, because the only way it takes
calculation takes time.
Yeah. Because if it's too easy to calculate, then it's very easy to hack.
Some kind of calculation logic do they have?
Yeah.
But the current computer is not so fast. Can't get money.
Well, so if your computer is not so fast, you cannot get money. Oh.
But quantum computer is 1 million faster than.
Yeah. So basically, but you know what a quantum computer costs.
Okay, I understand. But don't understand, altcoin is that anybody can make a new altcoin.
But anybody could make a Bitcoin too. I mean, basically, they were the first one to design that system, but it doesn't rely on anything. I mean, basically, the way that if we would invest in an altcoin, we use that Niman yen to buy a computer and to code the software, or hire a programmer to make an altcoin for us. That's it.
No base.
No base. Nothing.
Oh my God, I don't understand. It's incredible.
So basically, it's a lot of branding, creating a brand image, creating a lot of hype, creating a lot of interest, because if there are no buyers, then, and that's the majority of these altcoins, there are no buyers. So you can create your own altcoin, but if you don't manage to attract people, if you cannot create trust, the people that basically, because what could happen is basically a lot of people buy your altcoin, and then you just basically desert and say, well, I got now $5 million on my account. I wish everybody good luck, but I'm no longer going to support my altcoin. Well, then basically everybody lost money.
I can't guess. Why is in the world government and bank are so very much conscious about this Bitcoin?
Well, because basically, I mean, what it does is that it creates it takes away the power, potentially it takes away all the power from the central banks, which the central banks is one of the most powerful instruments of a national government. Because they no longer have control over how to create money, to control inflation, to...
Okay, so Bitcoin is Bitcoin, but government and bankers, this system, okay,
right,
is very variable for them, for their future.
Absolutely.
That's the reason why they try to use this Bitcoin. Or they're going to start a new coin? Possible.
But then, if that is done by government, that beats the purpose, because, I mean, why would they do it? They already have their own currency.
No, but for example, China. Okay, China
right.
Government want to make new Bitcoin.
They can do it.
And this is a more reliable coin rather than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going up to double or half, very fluctuating.
Yeah, but basically, I mean, if China cannot control it.
Okay, or United States, U.S. government. Instead of dull green paper, they were going to create Bitcoin, American Bitcoin.
Well, it would be very interesting. Take a country like Lithuania or what was it, Estonia? They have a digital government.
No,
If they
Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe. They started, yeah.
Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
They still have that idiot of Mugabe for. No, I don't believe it.
No. This is I just
Not
South
Zimbabwe.
America.
Because, Zimbabwe definitely, but there is Estonia has an e-government. They have everything
South
digital.
America.
Really? Well, I don't know about South America, but I know about Estonia. And if they want to basically
Venezuela. They said they are going to start Bitcoin.
Really? Well, nothing works in Venezuela, so maybe this could work. But sorry, people of Venezuela, if you're watching. But
My simple question: why America going to start buy their Bitcoin? If so, your explanation is right. If so, why America going to start? Okay, now we're going to.
Because basically, it's a decentralized coin. Now, with their own currency, they can control it. If they make if the American government would say, okay, we are going to create our own currency, where's the merit for them? They cannot control it. Because the people would buy it with the currency that they created themselves. They already have the power to create money. So why would they create a Bitcoin to even earn back their own artificially created currency? So the American authorities, they create dollars, then they create a Bitcoin, and they get their dollars back. What's the point?
It means Bitcoin is originally created, then after that automatically
Yes.
growing.
Yes. Not in response to market circumstances, inflation, whatever. It's not designed to be a centrally controlled coin.
Okay, go ahead. No.
All right. Where were we?
Yeah, just the supply
Got
chain.
excited.
Supply chain.
We saw that already, right? Yeah, we saw that already. I want to have a look at provenance, because we were looking at supply chain, and so what does it look like at the front end? Not at the blockchain end, but what does it look like at the front end? This is a website, by the way. And I focused on this is what it looks for non-profits, for NGOs. I'm kind of interested in this company. They are one of the earliest, the first companies who tried to actually use that blockchain technology to create supply chain transparency. So provenance reinforces the work of NGOs, auditors, award bodies, and sustainability. Oh, actually, sorry, we didn't answer your question. You had a very interesting question. You asked the question, what is the biggest problem with this? What is the biggest problem with this, according to you?
They cannot. Big data is so huge. They
no, I
cannot
don't think that's the problem.
handle it.
I think that is not the problem.
No, world cannot handle it.
Well,
I told you, sort. Cannot sort it.
like you can.
No.
Yeah, of course.
No, billion data cannot do that.
You can do that.
Why?
Because data mining, we are capable of doing it right now.
No.
Yeah, of course we can.
Okay, I tell you. China decided, okay, our country, we're going to be IT country, and we're going to IoT, and every equipment they're going to put on that data. At that time, it's uncountable data.
Understand, of course you can do it. Basically, you can just isolate, find everything that belongs to this product, and this is okay. This looks like they're all separate records, but they're just sitting inside one record. So basically, you can just sort on, or you can make a selection on this product, or for this range, and then you can sort it. I mean, you don't have to sort everything. You just have to sort what you're looking for. So basically, you make a selection and then you sort.
In some cases, you need to sort everything.
Like, why?
By country.
Why?
It's the government need to.
But doesn't make any sense, because then what you get, is it's not interpretable.
I know that I went to China this time. Reason why? This company software is 500 times quicker than normal sort.
Oh.
That's the reason I went there to sell Japanese product to Chinese company. 500 times quicker.
So they don't use indexes? What do?
They don't use index. And they don't tell me the truth, but they have some information behind each data. They should have already sorted before sorting. So they can pick up the data as soon as
so they pre-sort data and they
exactly,
store it.
Yeah, this is my guess, but this is just the only way to do that. And what kind of problem currently China has is, okay, this is government-wide, every kind of data, the big data, but they cannot sort.
Oh, that's actually a very interesting thing you just said. They didn't tell you the truth.
Why? What?
The company that you represented in China.
So I told them, my friend is a big company owner, okay, Chinese.
Right.
You need to sell to Shanghai government first. And Shanghai government, they have planning like blockchain, everything. Blockchain is most advanced China. Okay, they seriously consider for that. Everything blockchain.
Yeah.
They already no money. Next step is blockchain. Then they're going to control the people in Shanghai city and 30 million people. And they try 30 million to 10, 20, 30 billion data need to be sorted to control those people. But no tool. Okay, they need to do that every other week or every day, need to make a sort to get the information. They cannot wait a week. They cannot wait. So this is, I told them, the very big opportunity to sell this sort tool to Chinese government. Or Huawei, or for a big company or IT company, you can sell it. I told you.
But would you really want to sort everything?
Yeah, it's the current world. The most difficulty is sort. They cannot sort. They cannot. Like is Microsoft using this company sort system, which is not acceptance. Many companies using the same technology, but
yeah. So like relational databases with IDs and basically you select your subset and then you start sorting. That's how I would do it. But
yeah, I believe this is very good too, and that's the reason why 3 times I went to the States, China, try to sell it. This is very good too. But many companies use the same technology, but they are not recognized violating patent. But actually, every Chinese company violating patent. This is already got patent. So I told them they got a lot of money.
But this company doesn't have a patent.
How? That's the reason why they try to sell. Already they have it. Okay, this is you need to pay that money for them.
Right.
But this is not sue. It's kind of, just this is patent.
Because
so
once it's a patent, that means that it's basically then the technology is known because
it's not expensive. Just is 1 million, 2 million. So this is not expensive. So just you use it, okay, you pay money.
As a service.
Exactly. So this is what I'm involved in this kind of business. This kind of blockchain system is also this. My friend told me. Currently, their concern is quantum computer and blockchain. This is Chinese government very, very keen about this. They already decided to use this. Okay, not like Japan. They go decide. So this is a computer capacity. They very much impact for them. Don't care. Just try to put money on it, improve the computer quality, and then implement blockchain. Tremendous benefit for them, right? The government. And many people try to save tax, but if you implement blockchain, you cannot escape tax, right?
But if you say what you, yeah, then that's absolutely true. But if you say, if it's true what you say, that they are basically replicating data and use indexed, standardized sorting mechanisms, then the user will find out very quickly. And
yeah, that's the reason why I asked you how many digits do this hash has. 50 digits? Okay, this is 50 digits. Then it additional 20 bits for sort key. Okay, this only the hash tag is not enough to control the managing data.
So this is the hash now.
What?
This is the hash.
It's not enough to control only this digit. Okay, I understand. But this, I tell you, this one is Chinese government trying to implement this blockchain. This I understand this one because of so long characters, so long figures. This is the reason why there's no.
Yeah, you need to revert that back to the contents of the actual block. So this is what's inside.
This hashtag is unique by each transaction, right?
Yes.
So it means this is going to be just QC code. QR code.
Yeah.
So QR code is uniquely identified. Okay, what is this? Just immediately, oh, this is fake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
This one we can close. Okay, provenance we were looking at. All right. So here we have, for example, certification marks. So what this will enable you to do is that you will be able to open your smartphone inside the shop before you buy something. You can track and trace where this in this case, this smoked bacon come from. How was it certified? Trace back where your product comes from before you buy it. Right there in the supermarket, and this is super important because there will be more and more fair trade brands because it sells, it goes mainstream. It has been shown in the Netherlands that this works. People are willing to pay premium prices as long as they can trust what you promise them. Well, blockchain technology will make it possible to actually communicate this trust to your to the consumers, who in response can be sure that they're buying what they are being promised, and that will actually make it much easier for for supply chains to become transparent and people to actually control businesses much more effectively. So that's what provenance is after. So you can have in the store create certification, create traceback on when was this product produced, when was it shipped, etc. So this is actually going to be a big impact. So now let's have a look at, and that's the last one about the supply chain, the provenance CEO.
So my talk today is about the future of branding, something I think is incredibly important for retail. I'm going to tell you about a new technology innovation called blockchain. Now, blockchains aren't really a foreign entity at events like Wired Money, and indeed we've already seen how blockchain and Bitcoin are disrupting finance, but they are quite a new topic for retail. So I'm going to explore today, we're going to go kind of a bit out there, a bit future facing, and we're going to look at how the blockchain might disrupt how companies communicate with their customers, and ultimately the future of trust in brands. So, I wonder which one of these I pressed. Probably this one? No? Maybe that one. Cool, great. So who am I? I'm Jessie. I come from a background, PhD in computer science, engineering, but also in interaction design for brands. And I've worked both in supply chain and in marketing, and that led me to start a company called Provenance. So Provenance exists to help brands build trust through transparency. So I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean about that. So we help businesses that create and sell products to gather the great stories and the facts from product supply chains and life cycles and bring those to the consumer. So that could be on product, online, or in store. And technology is really a core part of what we do. We like to think of ourselves as innovating in digital mechanisms for trust. So whether that is helping crowdsource information from your supply chain to bring to a consumer, or looking at some slightly new mechanisms for how we might trust information on the web. So, as shoppers, we can only choose from that which we're presented with, right? We have price as an important metric. We also have colour and function and aesthetics. But a metric that I found super interesting when we're shopping is brand. And I think it's one of those things that's really got an evolving anatomy. But there's no doubt that you wouldn't agree with me that brands are incredibly valuable. They stand for reputation. They've got a huge amount of emotion surrounding them. They stand for quality. They're a mark of assurance. And some of them are kind of seen as behaviours and a living entity. So I really want to look at the future for branding today. This talk is really quite out there. We're going to go explore right into the future of what we think branding could really be. But in order to do that, I think we need to look a little bit at where branding has come from and the kind of journey it's been on so far. From the village, the ultimate in trust, peer-to-peer, direct, through, the Mad Men era of branding being this kind of mecca, into the future and how we might start to see companies becoming a bit more open and transparent and how new technologies might start to broker trust.
So what she's talking about is what you see here in this slide. Basically, brand was basically your personal branding, your personal value that you have in a one-to-one relationship inside the village. Who you are decides your brand and whether you'll be trusted, yes or no. Then in the industrial age, the brand became something like a one thing that captures everything. That the brand became the goal, and it basically assumed trust. So the brand made in Japan, for example, it meant something. It's something that made in Japan gave people automatically trust. Now the future of branding is basically communicate. The brand will be not something as an individual identity, but through the brand we can communicate between producer and consumer.
So
yeah,
wait a minute.
first of all,
Producer and consumer. What's the difference that?
So basically here, the producer creates the brand image, and that image is being communicated to the consumer. So the consumer only sees the brand, doesn't see the producer. Basically, this is the brand says it all. But in the future, if you say, for example, this let's say this is Nike, right? So basically, we see that this is Nike. That's it. So we know Nike stands for a brand that supports the athletes, that it has fashionable sportswear. We know Nike from the athletes that use it. That's what we know about Nike, but that doesn't really mean that we know anything about the products themselves, where they come from, how they were produced, the circumstances of under which these goods were produced. I mean, they had scandals in the past about using child labor, producing, for example, soccer balls and other clothing. So basically, what we see is only the brand, but what in the future, what Provenance is trying to do is to maintain that brand, but that brand basically connects the user directly to the producer. Not to the brand only, but also to the producer. If you want to create a brand, then still you need to create an image, of course. But consumers want to know more. They want to know, where does this product come from? Is it what you're saying, what you're claiming, that this has been produced not using any pesticide? Is that actually true? Is it true that no child labor was used? Is it true that fair wages were paid? That's what people value. Yeah. So if you want to create...
It doesn't relate into product?
It relates to
What
product.
brand? This one, this side, I don't understand well. What this mean? This I understand well, okay? This is product.
Yeah, basically, you create an image.
Oh.
That image you sell.
Mm.
Right? So people, when they buy Nike, they see an image. But they don't know anything what happened, where the product came from. They just trust that image. Later on, they figure out...
In future, no producer, just image will...
No, this is what we have now. This is where we are now.
No, in future, just only image.
No, not only image, but so this is only image. This will be image plus transparency.
What means transparency?
Transparency means that we can see where the products come from, where they were made, why this is a premium product, that it was actually produced by Gucci, that was actually produced by Louis Vuitton, that it went so. It's
yeah, you're talking about blockchain.
Right, blockchain transparency. Sorry, maybe I didn't explain this, but she is the CEO of Provenance. That was the website that I just showed.
But this is talking about blockchain.
This is talking about blockchain, yes.
Huh?
This is talking about blockchain.
So blockchain can recognize brand.
They basically, what blockchain does, it supports your brand image.
Oh, support brand image.
So if you make claims about this product has been produced, not using child labor, environmentally friendly, paying fair wages, with the highest quality of goods, then I want to see that. I want if I buy a broccoli at twice the price because it has been produced in an environmentally friendly way, then I want to see that, not somebody just buying broccolis from supermarket A, putting them in supermarket B and says, well, this has been produced environmentally friendly. I need to trust that brand, but I don't. I want to see it. I want to see where these products come from, and that actually what the brand promises is actually being delivered upon.
Okay.
Yeah.
New technologies might start to broker trust. So yeah, first of all, brand as the ultimate mark of trust in the marketplace of 1,000 years ago. Brand was just
no. Voices can record it.
Product, and trust was brokered person to person. Nice and simple. So the printing press meant brand could spread its wings all the way it did into a hugely disconnected phenomenon called advertising that started reinforcing branding along with marketing teams all over the world, started turning brand into this hugely compelling emotional hook. And advertising did an amazingly successful job of building a huge kind of epic, trusted third party out of brands. But it did also build a huge gulf between reality and perception. And this worked for a long time, but it also started to create a bit of a trust gap, which we'll explore in a minute. So for a while, the internet was really just another method for amplifying branding. But what was interesting about the internet in relation to kind of brands and marketing is it started to form, again, that kind of two-way communication that we were used to from yesteryear. And rather than brands being this smokescreen of information asymmetry, they started to have to talk again, two-way communication. And I think the internet is really actually starting to take that to the next extreme. I think it's starting to knock down that knowledge divide between how a business is perceived from the outside and what's really going on the inside. And I think it's coming at quite a good time, actually. When everything from shoes to crisps are claimed to be handcrafted, and when huge international fast food chains are claiming to have local farms, you might say we're experiencing a slight crisis in brand trust. So I think this is just starting to show, and I think a new type of consumer is starting to emerge, one that is incredibly empowered by technology. You know, they've got their phone in their pocket, They can Google everything. The information divide starts to close very quickly. And we are already seeing quite a few businesses respond to this new kind of consumer. Lots of them coming out of the States, but these brands are really embracing kind of openness and transparency as part of their core brand DNA. So from companies like Everlane, who sell t-shirts and stuff, and they show full details of all of their factories. The Kering Group recently started Outer Known, a brand that again is fully transparent. Some might even go as far to say that in this hyper-connected world, perhaps being more transparent is the new power. So let's get back to technology. So we have seen that technology is playing a really important role in the brands and people and products we decide to trust. And what's great is its information can flow. But looking at businesses that create physical products, like we do at Provenance, you've still got this epic supply chain. So even if you wanted to be more transparent about what you're doing as a business, it's quite difficult to gain consumer trust. You know, you're really just trying to share a piece of information, but it's coming from very far away. And even though you can't totally discount the rise of new, innovative, local manufacturing techniques, for the most part, our supply chains are still massive and global. So we need kind of mechanisms, something to help broker this digital trust, even though we're so far away from each other. So one step change technology I'd like to talk about that's very relevant for the brokering of trust is the blockchain. So Mark Andreessen said the blockchain is the first thing like the internet since the internet, which means it's probably fairly important. So blockchains have presented a hugely powerful innovation for finance, but they also are quite an exciting new paradigm for trust in general. So The Economist described them as the great chain for being sure about things, or a kind of way of making and preserving truths. So why is that really important? If we're getting lots of information from the internet, why is something like a blockchain going to help us? Well, the reality is that still on the internet, we still don't 100% know if the person you're communicating with is a dog, right? We still don't 100% have complete trust over information we're gaining through the internet. And this is becoming quite problematic, particularly in a retail environment where you're grabbing data from lots of different places. You need to know that data is trustworthy. So let's look a little bit at what the blockchain actually is. So it started life in the mind of Satoshi Nakamoto, a still unidentified publisher of a paper on a peer-to-peer version of electronic cash called Bitcoin in 2008. And Bitcoin was incredibly interesting because firstly it worked as a nice method of digital cash, which was good, but there's no trusted third party, there's no bank in Bitcoin. So instead of a bank, we have this shared data layer called a blockchain. So currently, the way we handle data at the moment, it's all handled in silos, like on the left. So you need these trusted third parties like banks in order to broker data. If we look to the future, and a concept like the blockchain, which gives us a universal truth or a shared auditable data layer, we don't necessarily need those third parties anymore.
Basically what we see,
this?
so basically what we see, this is a customer interface. Basically, what this graph shows is what we saw just now, where we saw the network with the central bank as a central node in the middle. So there's a central party that maintains all the information, where the central ledger is kept. So those are the trusted institutes that where quality is being recorded and can be shared and can be called upon by other players in the network. So if you are a certifying body, then basically somebody will have, I don't know, a shipment of product A. Certified body puts that into their database, and if other member of that same business network wants to verify that the data, they need to go to the central party and actually retrieve that information about that shipment, right? So the way that this is going to work right now is that there is no central entity anymore. If that is going to happen, that's going into the blockchain, it will immediately become available to every player in that network.
What is the red one?
That's the consumer interface. That's important. I will show you later what that means.
Okay.
We can
that makes it visible, basically, because we have this ledger. What I just showed you, the website with the transaction, with the contents of a block, that needs to become customer friendly, so that they don't see like the blockchain, but they can basically see, okay, this product has been here, and they can zoom in on every step of the way, without having the central institute, but more or less a maybe let's. I mean, while we're talking, I just got a thought. Let me jump one step ahead. This is what we're talking about. So basically, when we're looking at blockchain, so we have here the blockchain layer. The blockchain layer is basically like your bottom layer in the OSN model. OSI, what was it? This is your base layer. So the blockchain support is the technology which basically makes it possible to decentralize information flow and to maintain integrity of the data and the transactions that are in that blockchain, right? But it needs to go a few steps up in order to make it transparent and visible and easily accessible by consumers, for example. So that is what this company Provenance is providing. So they're putting a few layers on top of the blockchain, which makes it possible for people to go into a shop and to basically open up the possibility to scan a QR code, and through that immediately can trace back, okay, this shirt, where did it come from? If you basically just look at the contents of a blog, it's interesting, but it doesn't show you the supply chain transparency. You still need to have a few layers on top of that. Well, the company like Provenance is actually building those layers on top of the existing blockchain technology. And as you can see, there are more blockchain layers. There are more blockchain providers like Ethereum, Hyperledger, IOTA, NEO. Those are all different blockchains. There's not one single chain in the world. There are multiple chains coexisting next to each other. All right. I think this is zooming a bit. No, maybe we should make it a little bit lower. I think this is zooming a little bit. I don't know. For some reason, it's. Or maybe Takai-san, is your microphone open?
Yes, now open.
Ah, but it was closed. Okay,
Yeah.
now I hear a little bit of a zoom. I think maybe the microphone and the speakers are having some interference, but it's not from you. No, it's probably the problem is here.
Why?
Was problem.
Why noise here?
I think maybe the microphone and it's too close.
No. It's different reason. Before this noise, but really? No. This cause noise.
Yeah, this is. No, but it picks up the noise from somewhere.
No, not this one.
Oh, wait.
Okay, it disappeared.
Wait, is this on?
No. No, not this one.
What is this? Oh, this is.
This one is cause noise. No, it's too noise. Oh, just. Yes. This one cause noise.
But this one is of course, but it's picking it up from somewhere. Where does it pick it up from? Where does it get the?
What?
Wait.
No noise.
Less. Okay. I think it's still there, but okay. All right, let's continue.
Information willy-nilly as we want, because we suddenly have this concept of a shared truth. So you're probably wondering, what on earth has a peer-to-peer cash system like Bitcoin got to do with branding? Well, I think possibly in the early 90s, a lot of people would have wondered what the hell did a global network for data exchange called the internet have to do with retail. I think brands have developed into a really important, trusted third party, and it's that blockchains can really help innovate on. So I mentioned earlier the kind of move towards more open and transparent brands. Well, this is something where the blockchain can hugely add value, because it